Hello, real estate professionals. Welcome, everyone. Glad you are with us. Hope all of you are doing well today. My name is Kurt Klaus, and I appreciate you taking the time to join this edition of our Agent Advantage webinar series. These webinars are all brought to you by the Guaranteed Rate family of companies and our Agent Advantage website. Today's webinar, Win with Builders. It will be an opportunity for you to add more sales and offer more options to your buyers by learning about the building process and the benefits of forming partnerships with home builders. The relationship can be complicated. We realize that, but today our intent is to help you with all things builder in today's low inventory market. There's such a high percentage of all available homes for sale today are new construction. So we'll cover financing options available for your clients and what you, the real estate agent's role is in the sales and building process. If you are not familiar with our Agent Advantage website, it is our proprietary no-cost website for agents all across the country. Built to help you look good and grow your business. It has all of our mortgage technology for both you and your agents. It has full loan status access if you have a transaction in process. Also, an entire robust marketing platform powered by Total Expert. That includes a full CRM, tons of collateral plugged in there, and it is all at no cost. There's also a coaching piece to Agent Advantage. It has trainings and webinars like this one to help you improve and learn lots of different topics, social media help, content strategy, tips from other top agents, mortgage products. All webinars are archived on the Agent Advantage coaching page, so go there and check it out. There is a version of Agent Advantage for each of our companies here at the Guaranteed Rate family of companies: Guaranteed Rate, Guaranteed Rate Affinity, Proper Rate, 3 different versions pass to enter and go to your Agent Advantage account. Another quick mention, we also have an Agent Advantage Insider Facebook page. It's a closed group. It is all about promoting agent excellence. It has everything that we do here at Agent Advantage. It's a closed group. It has content, real estate news, recorded videos and tutorials, information on everything we're doing here. And also we have all of our upcoming webinars. So you can go there and see when the next webinar is being done, and you can register for that. So you can request to join, go to Facebook, search Agent Advantage Insider, or simply take a picture of that QR code on your screen right now. Also, before we bring in Jim, a reminder that these are live webinars, so please ask your questions in the chat feature there. We'll save a little time at the end if we have some questions we want to go through out loud, but we will type our responses to your questions in the chat as well. So please submit your questions as we go along. We're happy to answer any questions that you have. And with that, I would like to introduce and bring in Jim Colella. Jim knows and lives all things builder. He is our National Builder Program Manager here at Guaranteed Rate. Hello, Jim. How are you doing?
I'm great, Kurt.
Appreciate you being here and doing your presentation. Thrilled that you are joining us to talk to our Realtor audience.
You got it. Thanks for having me on, and I look forward to it as always. All right. Well, as Kurt mentioned, my name is Jim Colella. I work for Guaranteed Rate Companies and help our various companies, Guaranteed Rate Inc., Guaranteed Rate Affinity, Proper Rate, Origin Point, really look for and manage new construction business. One of the things that currently we're seeing, as Kurt mentioned in his intro, was the low inventory we're currently experiencing in the marketplace is really has resulted in a statistic that has surprised many, and that is, if you can see on the screen here, 1/3 of homes for sale today are new construction. So that's all across the country. In some markets, it's even stronger, and some a little bit less. But on average, I would say, and I'm sure you all out there would agree, that there is new construction happening everywhere, whether it's a small neighborhood that's just kind of tucked away off a road, or it's a house that was torn down in an existing neighborhood, or it's a condominium, mid-rise or high-rise building. We're seeing really a demand for new homes and new condominiums all across the board. So one of the questions that we get a lot from our loan officers here at Guaranteed Rate, as well as our realtor and referral partners like yourself, is how can I, one, do more new construction, or at least be involved where I'm comfortable bringing my borrower to a new construction property? What happens when I do? And how long does it take? Are my borrowers going to be taken care of? In our case, borrowers, your case, your buyers. And also, long term, how can I just do this more frequently? I mean, that's where the inventory is, right? So those things we want to talk to you about today, and we'll go ahead and just kind of kick that off if that's all right, Kurt.
Yep, absolutely. Wow, on the number, I knew it was a growing number, but 30-40% is amazing.
I know. It really is. It's a big shock to most people. So I've been telling this sort of story all around, whether it's friends and family and just and people inside and outside the industry, just because it's kind of a shocker and a good one. So we like to bring attention to the platform that Guaranteed Rate offers for its referral partners and our own internal loan officers. So so without further ado, I'd like to talk about sort of the things that builders really are looking for today. Is really not, they don't need any help selling homes is one of the main points here, and they really need more help with closing homes and on time. That's never changed in terms of the closing part, but more and more, as you know, the tight inventory market, the builders tend to be really in the driver's seat. I'm sure you figured that out if you've been in situations where you see houses going up above an asking price. Builders are maybe raising prices from the first time you looked maybe with one of your buyers to several months later you've walked in the same exact home with the same exact options in the same neighborhood is 10, 20, 30,000 or more higher, sometimes much higher. That can happen. But realistically, what builders are trying to do is meet the demand that's out there. So they've got a lot of pressure right now with respect to the stuff we've all been hearing about, supply chain shortages, increases in costs. Some of those are coming down, lumber, things like that, and labor as well. So builders expect for some time that they're going to have probably 18 to 24 months worth of just steady production. So they're trying to catch up, actually. And in many cases, they will build homes to try to meet that demand. So what that means for you as a realtor or broker is that in many cases, these homes will be ready to go. They're building homes without the buyer up front in many cases. So they want to build it to a point where they've got all their costs under control. They know what their prices of their lumber and their plumbing and the painting and the tile costs. And then maybe 60 to 90 days prior to the house being completed, they'll put it on the market. And those are the situations where it's a quick closing, obviously great for you from a putting your time in and getting paid. It's good it gives us enough time as a lender to get those loans and your buyer, our borrower, approved. But just know that that's one of the things you want to look out for with some builders that do that. When you go to those sales centers, you walk in, introduce yourself as a realtor prior to bringing your buyer through, and find out, hey, what does your inventory home list look like? And they may say, oh, we don't have any. Okay, some builders don't do that, but many do. Many of the bigger builders, especially those national home builders that you've all heard the names of, do have inventory homes ready to go or soon to be ready. Other things you can find out is what are you cooperating at with respect to commissions today? To be frank, some builders, because they're in a position where they're in the catbird seat, they have been a little more stingy on the commissions and bonuses and things like that. Doesn't mean they still don't cooperate. However, they in some cases have just had to sort of turn the faucet down a little bit in their eyes, which so have it and have stuck with it. So don't assume that all builders are not doing full commissions, or at least most of their commissions, as they normally do. But it's certainly something you want to do to ask prior to ideally you bringing the borrower in. So most of the time you'll find, I get this question a lot, builders do like to work with realtors, right? They want to, they do figure in that they are going to be doing some builder business with realtors. So don't assume they don't want you there. And right now, the reality is most builders understand that the customer is going to be coming with a realtor, so they better be prepared to handle that situation. So one of the things that we talk to our loan officers about, which it really applies directly, I think, to brokers as well, is you've got to go out there and get in front of these builders. You've got to identify what their challenges are currently, and their salesperson's pain points. Now, what does a builder salesperson look like? In many cases, the builder, a large builder especially, hires their own salespeople. They're their employees, and they're dedicated to a certain site. That could be a home, model home in a new brand new development. It could be a condo in a high rise or a mid rise. It could be just an open house where the builder maybe only builds a handful of homes a year, and it's a realtor, and you may be one of those realtors that has been able to secure themselves a spot as that builder's point of contact for sales. So just keep that in mind as you're kind of exploring and looking out there, because many of these builders are looking for a solid realtor partner at some level to be a knowledgeable go-between, and someone that they know that will represent their product well, regardless if they're bringing a buyer in or if they're actually at a model home or a condo. One of the biggest pain points right now, I'm just going to throw it out there, and we're talking about this as much as I'm getting asked, I'd say, every 10 minutes roughly. What does our extended rate lock program look like? So the extended rate lock program is a big one. What does it mean? It's locking in and protecting a borrower's interest rate for up to 1 year while the home is being built. Many lenders are jumping in and do offer this program. We at Guaranteed Rate have had this for a number of years and have developed it and massaged it over time. So we really have a great history with it. And the idea here is that you're helping everybody, right? You're helping your buyer ensure that when they lock in their interest rate before the home is started, or maybe it's partially started, that they're going to be able to have that same interest rate or lower when they close on the home 5, 6, 9, 12 months down the road. A couple of reasons. I think it's obvious why that's important, but certainly number one would be qualifying, right? We want to make sure your customer is qualified, your buyer is qualified, if they're tightly qualified to start with. And more, that is the case, right? Homes are more expensive than they were disproportionately, as our rates are higher. So buying power, and you all know this by now, but buying power is down. It's going to continue to get probably a little bit more pressure. So having that buyer qualified from day one all the way through the end is going to be critical. Builders, the last thing they want to do, even if it's in a crazy good market for them, is sell a house to your borrower, our borrower, your buyer, and they pick out their colors. They do the 3-car garage edition. They put in the cool travertine tile and and upgrade the cabinets, and all of a sudden the house is halfway done or 3/4 of the way done, and the customer says, I can't do it anymore, or they don't qualify anymore because of interest rates went up. That's the worst, right? Now, builders, in some cases just put the house right back up on the market, but that's not what they want to do. Trust me, I've been there. That's not what they want to do. They want to close with the customer that they sold the home to. So this protects both the buyer, the builder. They want to know that you are working with a lender that can offer this sort of a product, because they want that protection to know they don't have to stress out about it. And of course, for you, your buyer is in good hands, and they're not going to they're not going to have to worry about and freak out. Now, I'll tell you a quick little sidebar tale. When I was many moons ago, when I sold homes for a pretty big home builder right out of college, and I had customers during a raising rate environment such as this that would come in right in the middle of a Saturday or Sunday and ask me, the salesperson, Jim, the rates are going up. I hate to bother you, hate to interrupt you with other customers, but should I lock my rate? Should I lock my rate? And it was one of those things where, and I was like, I don't know, and that's not for me to decide. So we didn't have this kind of program back then, right? So this is something we do now, and I would encourage you to talk to your lender, that your loan officer that you work with. Make sure you ask them, what are your options in terms of rate lock protection, extended locks. There are different types, where there's fees up front that can be refunded, that have a slightly higher interest rate, or some that have a little slightly higher rate or a fee that you collect up front, but then the rate stays exactly what today's best rates are all the way through. So those are the types of things that you want to make sure you understand. All right. So regarding borrower and buyer financing options in today's world, there's some misconceptions out there as far as new construction, and that sometimes it's more difficult to get financing. That's typically not the case. So one of the great things that we've seen is conforming loan limits are now up significantly than when they were before. A year ago, we're up to $647,000, $200 in most areas. That covers a lot of the new construction homes that are out there. If you get past that, then you're into the jumbo territory. Certainly we can lend in those spaces, but those are kind of the hottest spots that builders try to stay within that conforming loan limit. You know what? FHA, many borrowers are going to be putting less money down, 3.5% down for FHA. VA, in some cases, is no money down. Builders typically want something, right? So most builders are going to want a 5 or 10% down of the total purchase price. However, they will work with many borrowers, especially in an FHA or VA standpoint. Always ask the question, especially if it's a house that's further down the pipe and it's almost completed. They're less likely to worry about the down payment, which is risky for the builder to not ask for some money, right? You're going to see that some states do have bond loans, opportunities for first-time buyers. Always helps to ask your trusted lender, loan officer for that. Most builders are going to cooperate in those scenarios, and in many cases they're in those census tracts that are kind of trying to grow, or maybe they're further out, and there could be some things that you're not aware of that are available. So certainly ask for that. With jumbo, more and more, because of the price of houses, even though we've raised that conforming loan limit up, more houses are kind of tipping into that jumbo price point. So know that that is a different product typically, although most of the your best lenders are going to have options. In some cases, they only require 10% down. Most of the time, you're looking at a 20% down though, or greater. So make sure you're researching that. In some cases, borrowers have enough money to put down as a down payment to get just below that 647, 200. So always ask those. One of the things that we're seeing more asks about out there, and builders are asking us at Guaranteed Rate, is, wow, buyers are getting scared about interest rates. What can we do to help sort of keep folks to not be as worried? There are options out there that some builders will participate with to actually bring the interest rate down on their end by contributing some of those dollars to get that first couple of years of the interest down, with a 2-1 buy down. In some cases, they're willing to pay towards points. That's a term we haven't heard a lot of lately, but we're seeing more of that. So in some cases, a builder who really wants to secure those homes up front, or a condominium project, for example, where the timing is going to be later, you're going to see builders get more creative in today's market going forward and be willing to cover some of those costs. So that's something to be sort of aware of as well, and certainly talk to your loan officer about that. Other things in regard to condominiums, there's always nervousness around these, right? I will tell you that historically it was a lot harder to get a condominium project or building, or even if whether it's a suburban style condominium project or a city urban space. They're a little bit little bit complicated. Today, we're seeing that that's less so. So you want to work with a lender who understands new construction, and a builder. When you talk to a builder and you're trying to capture builder business, you may ask, "Oh, who did your condo project approval?" If they don't have one, perhaps that's an opportunity for you to bring in your lender, ideally with, in case guaranteed rate, we have a condo team, all that, right? And we can actually make you as the broker look like a hero, because we've partnered, we review your documents, we get all those great things put together, and then give lending options. What types of investors will actually allow for the condominium mortgage? That's a pretty exciting way to kind of break into a builder. Go to the next slide here. We did talk about long-term rate lock protection. I really, just can't say enough about this in terms of the ability to protect the borrower, the builder, and yourself. And everybody ends up being, again, not to overuse the word hero, but if rates go up, more, you locked your customer in at X rate, and all of a sudden 9 months later, it's a full percentage point higher, perhaps. And they've got the original rate. They are going to love you forever. And they're going to be a happy customer. The builder's going to be happy. They're going to love you because you brought them there. And there's a great way here to leverage your realtor expertise to say, hey, look, I brought you a great lender. I brought you a great buyer. Remember me because I know how to protect your customers. So that's
Jim, how does that work with the long-term rates, not knowing the exact date of completion and deciding on, if it's up to a year, you said, as deciding on the amount of time that the lock should be? How does that work?
That's a great question, Kurt, and one we get asked a lot, even by our own loan officers, because the truth of the matter is, new construction does have a little bit of that wild card aspect to it, right? So you really want to, in this case, not only talk to your buyer when they're buying that new construction home, and you may be sitting right there next to them in the sales center office. Do not be afraid to push a little further with both the builder and or your buyer to get a more realistic date in terms of delivery. So most builders do the right thing. They want to do the right thing. In the end, sometimes stuff happens, right? So you've got these supply chain issues. The weather could be a municipality issue with the permits. Who knows? But we always like to buffer in at least 3 months longer than what the estimated delivery date. And every builder will give you some kind of an estimated delivery date. So if they say September, 30th, you want to make sure that when they lock that loan, that it's December 30th, right? I mean, at least 3 months. If we offer up to a year, we actually at this point, because the cost to go from a 6 to a 9 to 12 month rate lock protection program is so minimal, just lock for the year. Be safe, because guess what? Something really bad happens. It's just sort of like really inexpensive insurance, and the last thing you want to do is have a lock that doesn't cover the period because the builder had a bunch of trouble or whatever. And guess what? It's gonna get a lot more expensive, or worst case, you may have to lock with today's rates at that point, which are higher. So it's a great question, Kurt. Just always buffer in some extra time. And if you don't feel like you're getting a straight answer from the builder salesperson, or they just kind of, they're not quite sure, don't be afraid to push a little harder. Show your client, show your buyer that you're out to protect them. And the good news is you've got somebody to work with your lender that can support that, right? So that piece, I think, will add value for you as a lender, as a realtor with a good lender. Some other things, there are some things along the lines of construction loans that more and more people are doing. And while not every lender, most lenders don't offer a construction loan, and we won't get into the weeds on that, but many lenders can actually do the end loan where the house is completed, and then we can provide the loan, for example, guaranteed rate, to kind of take the construction people out of it, and then give you and your buyer a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. That also can be paired with an extended lock in many cases, so that is more protection for the borrower. So just more questions to make sure you're aware of. And again, just be safe. Always budget a little bit extra time, and you'll be fine. One of the things that we like to talk about with our referral partners is really your role in the sales and in the building process with home builders and developers. My background, I've been guaranteed rate for a number of years now, but before that, I was really in the home building industry, both in the sales and the sales management side of things. And I worked with a lot of realtors that, I mean, quite frankly, were awesome. We had some trusted partners that really got it. We had some that didn't, I mean, but I will tell you this, most builders, and not all, so you have to vet them out ideally up front, will, in many cases, train their salespeople to take that customer from the day you bring them in and get them registered, through the sales cycle, and close them to a one of a kind home. They're trained to do that. That's their community, their neighborhood, their condo building, and get them to a unit or home that fits their budget, their family needs, or their personal needs, locate whatever, and get them done. And I know a lot of realtors have some anxiety around this, right? Where it's like, well, should I trust the salesperson for the builder to just deal with my buyer? Mostly yes. Of course, you want to keep an eye out and be always on your buyer's side. But note that you want to be there on that model home tour, right? You want to be there while they're walking through the purchase agreement. You want to be there when they're ideally even maybe picking out their colors and doing upgrades. You don't always have to be there for that, but know that generally speaking, that the builders, salespeople want you to be involved. They want to make sure that everything's perfectly clear, because that customer is that real builder salesperson for the entire life of that build of that house. So they want to take care of them because they're there in front of them, for a long time. And after they move in, if they're still selling that community, that customer can come into the sales center and be a happy customer or not a happy customer. So I would say, you as a realtor, be there to ask those important questions. At the same time, let them do their job. And usually you'll find that the ones that I always worked with really well, and my teams always worked with, were realtors that knew we did a great job, knew we closed on time, knew we just had the customer's best interest at heart. And we also loved our realtors, and they would bring us clients after they looked at a bunch of resales that needed a bunch of work, and they knew the buyer was going to buy new construction. So they brought them to us last. We worked together, found a fit for them, hopefully every time, typically not, but a lot of the time. And then guess what? You are kept in the loop all along the way, as to what's happening, and you're part of the transaction. So that's kind of the idea. Most builders are pretty good about it. Some are not, but that's part of the process. Choosing the right builder-focused mortgage lender. So we've talked quite a bit about this kind of along the way so far in the conversation. It is important, especially in the environment we're in, where we do have one of every three homes being new construction, and more people looking at new construction as the answer, clean, fresh, new, all of that. So I think one of the things that we see successful lender realtor partnerships look like are ones where the realtor has asked us a lot of questions and is really vetting our loan officers, to be sure that when they go to take their borrower out, they're going to be responsive. They're going to have the knowledge on the new construction piece, and also be, just quite frankly, there through the whole thing. And one of the things that we builders really look for when they partner with us, for example, a guaranteed rate, to be one of their preferred lenders, in many cases we are, is that we're going to be giving them regular updates along the way, maybe weekly even in some cases, even if nothing's going on with the loan, because they want to make sure that buyer stays qualified throughout the process. That behooves you as well, to make sure you're asking your loan officer to give you those updates, so there's no surprises, especially if the house gets delayed or things like that. So many builders do have their in-house lenders or preferred lenders they already work with, and maybe that is not the trusted lender partner you're currently working with. So know that, and you really, builders are different about this. So with respect to builders that do have their own in-house lender, Many times it's either a company that's owned by them, it's a separate but owned. That is allowed. They can do that. They oftentimes tie an incentive to that, which can be challenging. In some cases, you can just ask and they will give it to you, even if it's not their preferred lender. And in many cases, the builder doesn't have any preferred lenders on their list. They just let kind of whatever happens happen. You're going to want to make sure you're doing what's right for your buyer, of course. And in the case where that incentive is tied to a specific lender, ask. Ideally, we tell our loan officers at least ask if the incentive could be tied to, the different loan officer. And I will tell you, surprisingly, not always, surprisingly though, many times the builders will say, okay, that's fine. We'll still offer the customer an incentive that the builder offers in order to use your lender. Because guess what? If you as a realtor brought in a great client and that client is very comfortable with you as a realtor, and you have a great lender partner already, they don't really necessarily always want to break that up, right? So, and that's something that at least you want to ask on behalf. Say, hey, if we use my trusted lender, I want to make sure that I can still get the incentive. They may give you some or all of it, but at least ask the question and be familiar with what they offer. And in some cases, ask. Many builders, big builders, do not have that extended rate lock program we're talking about. Make sure they ask that. We've been getting guaranteed rate quite a bit of business lately from builders with their own mortgage companies because they don't have an extended rate lock program. So that's helping our realtor partners out too. They love it. So I'd say we kind of cover that. The pre-qual versus a commitment letter. Builders are going to want a commitment letter. Ultimately, that's subject to appraisal, subject to completion, all that fun stuff. But just know that you want to have a lender when you talk to your before you bring your customer out. Make sure your preferred or your lender partner can offer that commitment letter up front once they have a contract. Don't be afraid to stay in touch with the builder during the process. Don't be afraid to talk to that salesperson directly. Don't rely specifically on the customer to feed you that information. Delays are a big one, right? They may not get the right information. Don't be afraid and set that expectation up front when you're doing the contract signing with that salesperson. Get their number, build some rapport, and make sure you are doing your job as well by keeping in touch with the builder. We talked about condo projects. I think you want to look at that as a potential opportunity to partner with a builder or developer. Builders and developers right now really are looking for lenders that understand condominiums and understand new construction. They budget definitely a good chunk of their business to work with realtors. So don't think that they don't want to work with you. In most cases, they do. And with condo, you're going to want to ask how many homes are sold and how many are remaining, what's your estimated completion time, and what current lenders are you working with, and what do their products look like. And that'll kind of open up the door a little bit to you to understand kind of what's there for your borrower. You don't want to buy now and assume later that it's going to be okay. And lastly, events and marketing support. We love to partner with our referral partners, realtors, and our builders, and do co-branded marketing, flyers, signs, driving traffic to sales centers, food trucks on sites that haven't started yet, realtor sales meetings, right? Builders, salespeople sales meetings. Great way for you to network, great way for you to get additional business, great way to get your name out there. So, those are kind of some of the things we like to partner with our lenders. Our lenders like to partner with you as realtors. So, lastly, we'd love to have you work with us. Guaranteed Rate is a lender that has really worked hard to work with builders and developers, and always make sure you stay involved throughout the process. So keep us in mind, of course, and we'd love to show you how we can help you grow your business as well. Thanks, Kurt. I think that was it on my end.
Oh, great stuff, Jim. So, couple questions filling in. You said that the builders, in most cases, and realtors, may think differently, but they actually are open to and want to work with agents. I'm a realtor. What's the best way for me to get in with the builders in my area or get my foot in the door, what would you recommend, knowing the business, if I want to target and pursue some of the builders in my area to get in?
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the, this might sound simple, but honestly, it's truly getting out there in front of the builders, salespeople. I think initially, knocking on doors, we really got to get out there and, and go out to the sales centers, find out when the salespeople are there. Typically, they're busy on Saturdays and Sundays with customers, but they're not going to be as busy Tuesdays through Thursdays, let's just say. Find out kind of who they're currently working with. Do they have a realtor liaison program where maybe, they allow a realtor to be involved with some of the selection of their spec homes and maybe give a percentage of the commission. You'll find in some cases builders, smaller builders especially, are hiring realtors to be their representative. And it doesn't mean you have to be sitting in a model home all weekend long, right? A lot of times it's just a matter of being available on the phone or popping out to maybe a home that's under construction to walk through a customer. Most builders, really are looking to partner with the realtor community. So don't be afraid to ask them if they ever do that. Even those builders that seem to have their own salesperson, people. Another thing is sales and marketing councils or home builders associations. Those are back in full swing now, right? We're kind of, past the pandemic stuff, hopefully here, right? Well past. And what we're able to do is really see now some direct correlation with some of the events. So if you go on a builder association's website, just Google it, right? Homeowners Association in your town, and they're almost every time is going to be a calendar of events. You don't even have to be a member, but you can usually buy a ticket to, could be a fundraiser, could be a potluck dinner, could be a golf, thing. You don't even have to golf. You can just go to the thing after, and you'd be shocked at how many builders are there, and they're pretty friendly. So don't be afraid to do that. We also like to say, friends at the title company. We get all sorts of great intel from the title company people, and you all know people at the title company because you've sat at the title company for closings. You'd be surprised how many do not have built. They know all the builders. But they don't have the. They also know which ones don't partner with specific a realtor or in our case a lender. Ask them, are there any that are currently looking for realtors to help them with sales? And I think you'll find that's a great way to partner. Also, I guess I would say lastly, if you do happen to have a buyer that you brought into a new home sales center and they bought and it went smoothly, leverage that as a way for you to ask the salesperson if you could have a cup of coffee with the sales manager, the director of sales and marketing, and just, they want to partner. I mean, it is up to those salespeople and those sales managers to make sure that they're doing their job to get the word out about their development and their so they're going to want to have a cup of coffee with you in most cases, and then explore it from there. So I think you'll find they're typically pretty receptive. And if they don't, and they tell you to leave, well, just come back. I mean, they'll let you. They'll talk to you.
So great, very good. How about on the buyer side? What would you say to the argument from a buyer that doesn't think they need to involve a realtor if they are out pursuing new construction? Like, what have you seen in the past where the agents have provided super strong value, or what would you say as an agent as far as a reply to that point?
Right. No, that's a good one too. So I can tell you just from the other side, when I was that new home salesperson and I would see a customer come in with or without an agent. And I can tell you that in the case where an agent that had come in prior to bringing the buyer in and had done some homework with respect to visiting various neighborhoods, the community's new construction in the area, that knew the product a little bit, maybe had built a little rapport with the salesperson or with me. They just were able to really make the customer, your buyer, feel really comfortable. That they understood the process and taking that that sort of uncomfortableness away. I mean, buying a home is a big deal, right? You're a single family house that's already built in the middle of a neighborhood. You can see it, even if it needs a new kitchen, you got to rip it out. At least you can see it. You see how the yard is. you know who your neighbors are. New construction, you don't, right? So you're painting more of a picture there. So anything you can do to sort of make that make your buyer feel like they're really fully understanding what they're getting will be huge. So the best realtors I worked with were the ones that brought the buyer in, had explained to them kind of the pros and cons of new construction, and then at least knew a little bit about the product, and then we could all work together. I mean that those were wonderful relationships, quite frankly, right? And we didn't always get it. It could be that maybe they used us because they came in and realized, well, this one doesn't quite have the the layout that they're looking for, but they knew that the one down the street did, and it just helps you as a realtor, professional, narrow down that process for your buyer, and know that they're doing the right thing. So I think that's a big one. And then other things. Obviously, realtors asking those questions we talked about earlier. Extended locks. What do your delivery dates look like? Kind of flushing out maybe any challenges they're having with delivery times right now because of those concerns, and also asking about just where have sales been from the time you started till they are today, just to get a sense of kind of how successful that community has been. I think you'll find that you'll show some value there.
Yeah, the extended lock is huge for peace of mind and
Oh,
with
huge.
the rate forecast. But yeah, but no, thanks for kind of debunking that myth that
Yeah.
some agents have where they do not think that, the direct communication between a buyer and a builder removes the need for a real estate agent. So we just
No,
want to.
absolutely not. Absolutely not. And just to give you an idea, I mean, roughly, builders budget between 50 and 70% of their sales to have a realtor involved, meaning paying a commission. So that they're expecting it, right? They're not looking to keep you out of it. They want you involved, and they know, especially in times that are not quite as good as they are today. But they know realtors are going to be involved. They want that partnership to be there. They want the good word to spread from a referral basis out there. So you could be very valued.
Great. And how about I know no one knows, but I think, having you here and asking you about, with the forecast of rates ticking up, with the constant news we hear about, builders getting supplies, and, maybe your take on where everything's going the rest of the year and what you're hearing out there.
Yeah, like I said, none of us have the crystal ball. However, I can
Don't
just
mean to
tell
put
you
you
what
on the
I.
spot, but I got you. I got to ask you, Jim.
Yeah, no, you're fine. I get asked it a lot, so I will tell you what I hear from builders that I ask. Right, so kind of I'll just be a conduit for what they tell me, and essentially they see, and this is kind of a nationwide sort of smattering of commentaries that I get, is it all says they all think the same way. It's going to continue strong. They've seen some softening in terms of people buying only because they can't quite get them up fast enough in many cases. But overall, they think the demand is strong. The traffic coming through the doors is strong, and while the interest rates ticking up a little bit has put some people to a little bit at bay, the conventional wisdom is that things will level off, and while they might be higher than they were a year or two ago, it's ultimately still going to be incredibly affordable. Rates are still staying, the all-time low, or I mean, historic lows still ultimately, right? And new construction tends to be less affected by interest rate increases as compared to normal resale. So the new construction space kind of absorbs a little bit of that. So while it might slow, we don't see it slowing nearly as much as some other segments. So it's going to be hot for, call it, let's hope, good 2 years.
Yeah. Well said. Thank you, Jim. Really appreciate you taking the time to share your knowledge with us and our agents. Loved having you here.
You got it. Thanks so much. It was a pleasure.
And as a reminder to look out for and register to our next Agent Advantage webinar, we're going to talk about all of the technology that's out there available to you to make your life easier and to facilitate the process for not only you, but your clients. So join us for our next webinar on how to leverage technology. If you need to get a hold of us here at Agent Advantage, please reach out. We love your comments, your feedback. The email address is agents@rate.com. We love to hear from you. And on behalf of everyone at the Agent Advantage team, special thanks again to Jim Colella for being here and sharing his builder knowledge. Thanks for the presentation, Jim. Hope to see all of you on an upcoming webinar. Have a great rest of your day.